Hello, everybody, Jedi, Sith, and Gungan Texas Man here, back with another video. I hope that you guys, of course, are having a wonderful day. If you guys would please give this video a thumbs up if you guys do enjoy it. Subscribe, of course, if you guys have not already. Also, do me the biggest favor of all. Make sure you guys hit that bell notification button. Select all for all notifications so you guys won't miss out on future content here on the channel. And as always, if you guys have any movies, shows, or games you guys want me to cover here on the channel, please let me know in the comments down below. We're, of course, going to be talking last but not least, the finale of not just Andor Season 2, but this is, of course, going to be my last Andor video forever. So, if you guys have missed out on anything Andor related, I do have a playlist here on the channel. You guys can, of course, check it out. I'll leave a link to it at the end of the video. I did put out a poll last week, and I also asked you guys during Andor Season 2 Part 3, should I or shouldn't I review Rogue One, a Star Wars movie, after I finished reviewing Part 4 of Season 2. And the amount of support wanting me to do that has been overwhelmingly positive. 86% of you guys voted and said yes. So I wanted to let you guys know I am working on the video for Rogue One. That should be out in the next 2 to 3 days, give or take. Just got a lot going on, busy with work. A lot of stuff's been picked up because of Memorial Day sales. So just please be patient. I am working on it, and it should be out very, very soon. And so look forward to that. It is sad, though, that this is going to be the last time I get to talk about Andor. And this is probably going to be the last time I get to talk about just Star Wars in general and good Star Wars in general. Like, let's be honest. I think the last time anyone was really excited to talk about Star Wars, Disney Star Wars, was probably The Mandalorian Season 2. Like, because after that we got what? We got Mandalorian Season 3. We got the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. We got Book of Boba Fett. We got Skeleton Crew, Acolyte, Ahsoka Season 1. And most of that stuff has been either just hot, straight garbage, or it's been very middle of the road. It's been very mediocre. Andor Season 1 and 2 has definitely been a high point when it comes to Disney Star Wars television. And who could have thought that when this show was announced, I and many other Star Wars fans were very skeptical about a show focusing on a side character from probably the best Disney Star Wars film ever made. But I don't think anyone ever expected a show called Andor to be so well done. I was very skeptical, but I'll be honest with you guys. For the most part, except for two characters, I enjoyed the show. It wasn't perfect. I want to make that very clear. The show was not perfect. I apologize. I've got a sore throat starting up. I was very skeptical. And who could have thought that Andor would just turned into such a hit? I never thought that. Obviously, Season 1 of Andor kind of had a slower pace and was more methodical. I enjoyed it sometimes. There were some points I'm like, okay, can they speed this up a little bit? Please? And Season 2 definitely felt somewhat rushed. I feel as if though the people behind the show felt like they were going to get more than 2 seasons. Like, I feel as if though they probably thought they were going to get at least 3. But for what it's worth, guys, these last 3 episodes, episodes 10, 11, and 12, the final 3 episodes of Andor as a show, capped off the series in a well-done way. Episode 10 opens powerfully with parts of the rebellion learning that the different parts of the Empire's energy program, whether that was the Gorman massacre or things happening on Jeddah, all of it is a front in order to construct the Death Star. And it's really weird because I think a lot of people, myself included, have always thought as the Death Star being two words, that being Death Star. In this show, it's confirmed to be one word, which is kind of interesting, but also strange. Like, to me, that just makes no sense, but okay. I like how the ISB agent Dedra finally finds Axis, aka Luthen, Andor's recruiter, into the rebellion. That whole scene, I was just like, she's got him. And I watched it with my family, and they're like, why are you so excited? I'm like, she's not there to shop. She's figured out that Luthen is Axis, and I guarantee you I know what's inside of her briefcase. And when the briefcase was open, I was just like, I was right. Luthen being found out leads to him committing suicide, well, at least trying to. And it was definitely an emotional moment for me. I mean, I knew he wasn't going to survive the show. And it was definitely a tragic end for his character. It also, him being executed, killed off by his daughter character of sorts, kind of goes back to a moment in season 1 where, he gives that monologue speech to one of his spy friends within the ISB, where he says he knows he won't see the outcome of his actions. He'll never see the sunrise. He'll never see the light of day where, his rebellious acts bear fruit, basically. And I like how, Luthen as a character, he just comes full circle from, just being a trooper, basically, inside of the Imperial war machine. And then he almost becomes like Saw Gerrera. Like, he becomes an extremist. Like, he's bombing places, especially in Naboo. And I'm like, that was kind of a cool scene. Like, yeah, I'm going to bomb at the heart of where Emperor Palpatine was born. And as, his character grew up, he realized, okay, I need to be less of an extremist in killing civilians, and I need to solely focus my efforts on targeting the Empire. And so his journey as a character, I think, was really well done. Episode 11 makes Director Krennic really scary. And it's weird because, he's really scary in the show, but when you get to Rogue One, he's kind of like a clown. He's just like a normal person that's forced to do certain things for Lord Vader and Palpatine. Otherwise, he's dead. And that does make him have motivation and purpose and passion to get things done. But he's not really scary in Rogue One. Here in Andor Season 2, he's the Darth Vader of the show. He's like, yep, messed up, and you're going to pay for it. So I like that, when Director Krennic shows up, and he's talking about the leaks of the Death Star to the rebellion possibly, he's really intense. And I like that. Also in episode 11, Cassian has to return to Coruscant to extract the daughter character of Luthen because she has the Death Star knowledge. And I thought the whole extraction thing was really well done. It was good action throughout that whole thing, and some comedy moments were also really great. Episode 12. Wow, how do I talk about the final episode of the show? Wow. First off, I want to say, finally we got to see what happened to Mon Mothma's husband. Basically, he hooks up with somebody else because, she's off in the rebellion, and just makes sense. He's like, yeah, well, my wife has just left me, so who's next? It's kind of dark, if you want to be honest. Yeah. Episode 12, basically, it ends all the characters. It ends all the characters that are not in Rogue One or the OT in a well-done way. Obviously, it doesn't kill off every character. But it makes it okay, this character is over here with this person, and it allows for the audience to come up with, what do you think they could have done during Rogue One? What do you think they were doing during the original trilogy? Obviously, we never see them again because they're never mentioned. But it is kind of cool to think, okay, maybe they went and did this. It allows for the audience to just have an imagination to think of what do these people do during this situation? Like, what did they do? And I think that was kind of cool. It also kind of, unfortunately, goes back to what I said earlier, where it felt like they had plans for season 3. And so certain things kind of just, unfortunately, got cut. And they had to wrap everything up in a nice bow because of the restrictions given to them by Disney. So I think that's really cool. How, for the most part, how it was handled was really well done. Episode 12 also, how it ends, it leads pretty much perfectly plot-wise. Not character-wise, but plot-wise into Rogue One, where Andor, he's leaving Yavin 4, and he's heading off to go meet that contact so he can get more information and intelligence about the Death Star, which I think was pretty cool. I like that. And then, of course, it leads into the whole Rogue One thing with Urso and Jedha, and, it makes it where basically Rogue One as a movie is Andor Season 3. And, from what I remember, obviously I'm going to have to rewatch it for the sake of the review, but from what I remember, Rogue One's a very fast-paced 2-hour movie. Like, it just never stops. It's a roller coaster. And it's kind of, from what I remember, it's kind of weird compared to, like, Season 1 and 2 of Andor, where everything's a little slower paced, more methodical. It's not like a greatest action hero war film, which is kind of cool. Lastly, I want to talk about the final shot of Andor as a series. Andor has a kid with Bix. We don't know who the kid is. Everyone's like, oh, it could be Poe. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but in terms of logic, Poe isn't born until 2 years after the destruction of the first Death Star. So, sorry, but Andor's kid is not Poe Dameron from the sequel trilogy. Can we just also make it where we could just quit saying sequel trilogy? Can we just say mirror dimension? That's what I consider episode 7, 8, and 9. They're in a mirror dimension. It's like, it's one of those weird Star Trek things that are just out there because reasons. I don't consider 7, 8, and 9 canon. And I think we're getting to a point where, like with Ahsoka Season 2 and the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, I have a suspicious feeling that, like, we're going to get rid of episodes 7, 8, and 9, and they're going to reboot it with a new, proper sequel to Return of the Jedi. That's where I feel like we're going. So that would be kind of nice. Anyway, back to Andor. It is kind of sad that Andor never gets to see his child. Not only does he not get to see Bix again, but he never gets to see his kid. And he never even knows about the kid. It is kind of sad that, his path leads him to where it leads. It is for the greater good, but him as a person, it is sad that he never gets his happily ever after. Obviously, that's just reality. Not everybody gets a happy ending. But from what Andor went through during his life, he never gets to find his sister again after he gets off of his home planet. He loses his mom, his stepmom, essentially. He loses so many of his friends before the discovery of the Death Star. And then when he's fully committed to the rebellion, he never gets to reunite with his wife, and he never gets to find out that he has a kid. It's a powerful ending. It's a powerful conclusion to a side character. And like I said earlier, when this show was announced, I was skeptical, but I loved the journey, except for 2 characters, which thankfully don't get much screen time. But how this show wrapped up, and the show in general, you could tell there was a vision. You could tell the people behind and in front of the camera, they cared about what they were making. And it's sad that, we're probably not going to get this level of quality of Star Wars again. probably for another 5 years minimum, because what they're focusing now on is Ahsoka season 2. Don't know when that's coming out. Then we're getting the Mandalorian and Grogu movie that's supposed to come out next year. And then after that, who knows? Because, for whatever reason, Disney/Lucasfilm, they love announcing new Star Wars projects, but 99% of the time they always get canceled. Or they just constantly have their release dates, pushed back, and it's just yeah. I don't even know if that Rey Skywalker movie thingy is happening or not. it's just that movie's still up in the wind. But yeah, I had a great time watching the show. I had a great time talking about it and reviewing it for you guys. Like I said earlier, also, I will be reviewing Rogue One, so look forward to that when it drops. So, with that, guys, I'm going to give Andor Season 2, Part 4, a 9 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for being on the Andor journey with me for the many videos that I have done. Have a great day. May the Force be with you guys all, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.